Samsung Galaxy Note 8 was probably the greatest phone in 2017. Here in 2019, it's still very much one of the best phones that you can buy even today. And when you consider that some of the great flagships of today here in 2019 are running $1,000 and even more so, the Galaxy Note 8, you can get this thing for about $400, maybe $420 brand new. You may even be able to find it under $300 refurbished. So you're talking about an excellent value for an excellent phone that's still very much so relevant today. This is Keep It Simple Phone Tech, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Note 8. And let me just go ahead and start by talking about some of the things that bother me with this phone. And really, there's not very many. There's just two things to call out. You're taking a look at the first one right now. This thing is a fingerprint magnet and then some. I promise you that I washed my hands before I handled the phone here, as what you're seeing in this video. But this thing is just a master at picking up every last bit of grease and dirt and grime that may be dwelling within the crevices of your fingerprints. So you want to keep one of those cloth wipes handy at all times. You're going to be using it frequently on this phone. Also, the size of the phone with its 18:9 profile, its 2:1 profile, its length, it's tall, it's wide for an 18:9 phone. Makes it a little bit hard to handle at times, but you'll adapt to it. Those are really the only two complaints that I have about the Note 8. Its screen is one of the best in the business. It's AMOLED, it's Samsung. They make terrific screens on phones, just some of the best in the business. This is still one of the best screens you're going to find even today. 6.3 inches. Again, it's AMOLED, Quad HD, up to 1440p. Just terrific screen. Beautiful quality. Now it's got an always on display as well, and I'm going through here in the settings under the heading lock screen and just indicating with the always on display, and especially with Android 9, you've got a variety of options to change both the always on display screen, the initial screen that you see, if you have always on display turned on that is, and then the lock screen. So you can customize with the clocks. You've got an assortment of clocks to choose from, and you can also change the color. So you can make the clock of the always on display a little bit different from the clock on the lock screen. It's just giving you a little bit more variety, keeping things fresh, and providing that variety that allows you to keep your phone constantly looking new, so to speak, with the different changes that you can make. So that's a neat thing. Now, as far as the performance of the phone, it comes out of a Snapdragon 835 processor. You have 6 gigabytes of RAM. You've got, as far as your internal storage, anywhere from 64 gigabytes up to 256 gigabytes with 128 gigabytes in between. You can also expand storage with an external SD card. You have the option of using, as far as your navigation is concerned, either these navigation dashes, for lack of a better term, or you can use the traditional navigation buttons, and then you can switch back and forth where you would like the back button to be located. I prefer to use the full screen gestures myself, just because it allows for more of the screen, more of the viewing screen. You can get the full amount of that 6.3 inch screen instead of the navigation bar taking up a small portion of that. You may not think it's a big deal, but it's nice to have the entirety of this beautiful screen access. You'll notice with the navigation bar, if you use that, you no longer have that option of the little button that used to be on the left that allowed you, if you pressed it, it would allow you to at times remove the navigation bar from the screen so that you have the fullness of the screen. In place of that, now you've got these navigation dashes as an option. They work pretty well, as you can see. And again, as far as the overall performance of the phone, with the specs, the phone, it still hustles. A year and a half later, it still flies. And so, except for what you see here on this maybe slower Wi-Fi connection that I'm connected to and things not loading up, I promise you, it moves very quickly. Taking a look on the left side of the phone, you've got your volume rocker and Bixby button, which you'll probably never use that Bixby button. On the right side, you've got just the power button. On the top, you've got the SD card / SIM card tray. And on the bottom, you've got your headphone jack. That's always awesome. You've got your Note pin. You've got a USB-C charging port. and it's quick charge, so you'll get to 0 to 50% in about 45 minutes or so. There's also wireless charging available as well. The Note Pen, you might use it, you might not. I noticed that back when I was working for one of the major telecoms, that a lot of people that had the Note didn't really use the pen. But it's a great feature to have, and there's a variety of applications to go along with it to help you with that Note Pen. The cameras, there's dual cameras on the back. They're both 12 megapixel. One's a wide angle camera, one's a standard lens. Just know that it takes fantastic pictures. Just because it's a 2017 phone doesn't mean that its picture taking capabilities are any less than the phones that you see today. So you still have the best cameras on the market with the Note 8. I promise you that. That's the front-facing camera. It's 8 megapixels. Its video taking capability, you're not going to be disappointed with that either. The rear-facing camera, you can take up to 2160p or 4K at 30 frames per second, 1080p at up to 60 frames per second. Is a Note 8 relevant in 2019? Absolutely 100% yes. I didn't even come close to covering all of the features of the Note 8, and some of those features you may even want. I've got other videos where I talk about the Note 8, and I'll leave some of the links in the description below. I don't think you're going to be losing anything in getting this phone compared to some of the $1,000 phones of today.